Welcome back to Friend or Foe Esports Mythic League, Week 6, Day 2, Game number 3. Final game of the day. Team OOD on the blue side, Team H Block on the red side. My name is Whirler, and once again alongside me we have Asum, bringing what looks to be a great match to end off the night.
Yeah, this is the match I'm actually excited for today. I think it might be the most competitive of the night. Udyr has been pretty promising recently. They took down Tub and they looked really, really strong. Their drafts have been really on point lately. But HBK, they've had kind of some struggles with this new roster, but I really think it has potential. Unfortunately, they don't have Floraland today, who I thought was one of the better performers on that new roster switch that they had, but we'll see what they can do with Idris. And they've also lost a ban, which is worth noting here. It's going to make draft a little more difficult for them.
And it is going to be Zed, Nico, and Morgana taken off the table for Udyr, as well as Lulu and Vlad taken off the table for Team H Block. Silas looks like he's going to be locked in first for Team Udyr. How do you feel about this pick?
This is pretty wild. So I guess to quickly note on the bans, the Lulu is just banning out because Udyr played a Lulu Cog comp, which protect the Cog, and completely ran over a game recently. And Vladimir is Big Twig's one trick, so banning out Comfort there. On the other hand, I think Udyr is also banning out Comfort as well as Morgana, which is a power pick. Silas Blind is crazy to me. Obviously, it's a flex pick. You can play it top or mid. You can even play it jungle if you're crazy, but really it's just top mid. And I think, picking it blind in mid lane is really, really hard because that you can get counterpicked and it can be really, really hard to play the lane. But I think what they're kind of indexing on here is that H-Block isn't actually going to play any of the counters in the mid lane because it is stuff like the Orianna, like the Syndra, which ends up being pretty difficult to navigate for a lot of players, especially in these matchups where you can get really, really easily one-shot if you misstep. So even though it's technically a counter match, but if you don't play near perfect, it can be really, really hard. And I think that's basically what they're making on. Silas on his own is a very, very strong pick. Picking it without seeing the enemy team's ults is also a little crazy, but they end up picking into it in a way that ends up benefiting him. He gets the Solar Flare already, and I imagine he'll have a couple other nice ults to steal. Interested in the pick just being super, super strong right now.
It is going to be Udyr and Leona locked in for Team H Block side, and it looks like we're hovering in an Aphelios.
This better not get locked in. This is
not
bad.
Too conventional of an AD carry pick, if you ask me, especially pick 2.
So the only way I can see this being okay is if they're...
Go on.
If they were picking Aphelios as a flex pick, it could be okay. But I think this is much better. Tristana Blitzcrank matching Leona is alright. I don't love taking AD carry here, but Tristana is a flex pick, can be played mid, can be played top, and it keeps the flex open with the Silas as well for mid top. So even though I'm not sure Udyr will actually flex it, given the champion pool is a big pick in Bob Joan, I think it's nice to kind of at least fake that out for HBK, make it a little more difficult to draft into them, and it doesn't show too much. So far it looks pretty good for Udyr, even though they did take that kind of crazy Silas B1 pick.
And it's going to be the bot lanes locked in for HBK. Sivir Leona, that's kind of an interesting one if you ask me. I don't see too much going on in. They have a good all-in.
So I think they want the Sivir because they're trying to block Blitzcrank hooks with the spell shield. That's all I can really imagine here. Because outside of that, Sivir is not a good champion. I do not think she's very good right now, and on top of that, she has a really hard time playing the game against Tristana because Tristana actually matches her scaling in addition to just being stronger in lane and stronger in the mid game. Has just like longer range, a lot more potential to just blow her up, and even with Leona here, it kind of provides some pressure in the lane. I don't really think they're going to be the ones under threat on the Tristana side of the matchup. On the other hand, I think Sivir is under a lot of threat, even if he doesn't get Blitzcrank hooked, just from getting blown up by a rocket jump engage when Leona is separated from him by just a little bit if they misposition in the lane.
And as we're getting some more bans done in here, I do want to touch on something you said. Aphelios is a flex pick now?
There's some spicy stuff going on in high elo Korea right now where Aphelios being played mid-top. I don't think you should in this league because no one in this league is good enough to play it, but you could do it.
It's playable.
It's playable. It's good enough that it's pickable because of the flex potential to make your draft win in other ways. I wouldn't say you'd ever want to pick Aphelios as a mid or as a top, but because of the draft advantages you can garner just by being able to flex these champions all over the place, you can get a lot of advantages in that way. And it ends up being okay if you sort of have it just good enough, mid or top, even if the matchup's just okay.
Very good, as it is going to be Volibear Scion being banned out for HBK, along with on Udyr's side, it's going to be Cassiopeia and LeBlanc being banned out. A very heavy mid target for Team Udyr.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think they have to do this because they picked the Silas so early. They're just trying to take out all of these matchups they don't want to play it into. I imagine some of this is also banging out Comfort, but the Cassio in particular, even though Cassio is not super strong right now, I think can be really rough for Silas. This is kind of crazy picks Akali. Silas is an Akali counter, and it's often been picked as one, but they're going to pick up Ryze instead, which I understand what they're kind of going for maybe, is that they don't want to give him another good ulti steal. Realm Warp is a little bit more difficult to utilize as Silas sometimes, but I don't know how this matchup goes. I think Silas is still in a position to run this game over. Given the Sivir ult, given Leona ult, given even the Ryze ult. It's a lot of repositioning tools, less straight up damage, but Silas doesn't always need more damage, to be honest. That champion does insane amounts of damage all on his own.
And it's going to be Lilia locked in for Team Udyr, locking in the jungle picks for both sides of the team. As we round out the comp with the final pick, should be a top lane pick here.
Yeah, and I'd much rather be the Udyr. I'd much rather be the Udyr in this matchup, I think. I think that the Lilia is pretty weak right now, relatively. It's not awful, but I understand why they're picking it up. Soximus is one of his comfort picks, and, you know, it's not terrible. It's definitely playable, but certainly into the Udyr is going to have a pretty tough time in the early game, especially. Udyr definitely being one of the premier junglers on this patch. And the Urgot being picked up last is kind of something I like to see here. If you're going to blind top, this is one of the tops I don't hate seeing blind. I think Urgot's really, really strong right now. Has a lot of potential into a lot of lanes, and they're not even going to really try to counterpick it, it looks like. I guess Wukong's an alright matchup, but I don't even think Wukong's a very good champion in general, so I don't really think it's worth it for the lane counter. And ultimately, HBK's comp is sort of disjointed if they go for that. Jax, though...
Oh, my.
I don't know about this one. Looks like they now have to play for split push, but this is a little awkward because Jax isn't really going to want to be playing for that split push. He wants to play for the split push, along with the Ryze playing for that kind of just, you know, splitting the map, making the cross map plays, and being able to reposition with the Realm Warp. But then again, Sivir and Leona really don't want to be doing that. Sivir and Leona can't really do a whole lot on their own. If they're placed in a 1-3-1 situation, or even in a 4-1 situation, that ult engage is just going to do pretty much nothing for them. They might have to use it for escape on the other hand. Whereas Udyr's comp, I think, is a lot more well-balanced. It really does what they want it to actually do. They can play the team fights, they can look for picks with the Blitzcrank hook and the Lilia Sleep, and the Urgot can actually side lane reasonably effectively against something like the Jax if he has to, although obviously he doesn't necessarily want to be playing that style. He wants to match the TP to the team fight and force them to take team fights around objectives so they can just stomp them on that. We'll see how it ends up going. I think Ryze is pretty weak at the moment, so even if it is the pick that's okay in isolation in this draft, it'll be pretty hard to make it work, and I'm not sure HBlock has shown the potential to really play this pick to its full ability, I guess, but we'll see. I think Udyr is definitely advantage in this draft, though.
Alrighty, and that's going to conclude the final draft of the night. It's a very good game coming in here, very interesting picks, and I'm excited to see how it goes out as we look like we have a bot side invade coming for Team Udyr. Looking to make something happen, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, we've got a Blitzcrank, we've got Tristana. You got to do this.
You got to expect it. I have to expect it if you're HBlock.
Yeah, and if they get hit by anything, they're very dead with all
this.
Good flash
he is coming
dead.
out. Sliver's going to go in, going to pop the sad emoji. It's going to be a first blood coming in for the Silas.
Yeah, with the Dark Seal start, that's a really disastrous, actually. Udyr is now super, super far ahead.
What the heck?
I mean, Dark Seal start makes sense. It's actually a pretty good start in a lot of mids these days, but being able to pick up the actual kill off the first blood invade, getting that stacking early is such a huge advantage in the lane. He's able to reset and actually buy a Doran's ring on top of that. He's going to be so far ahead of Ryze.
So
Ryze might just get zoned off the wave on the first few waves.
Oh no, that's so good if you're Team Udyr. You have nothing but a great start to this game. I would say Antunes set this game up for theirs within the first minute. It's Photograph. I've seen a little bit of Photograph's plays. Antunes
we're looking for the hook on blue buff.
DM. Oh no, they see it coming.
Doesn't get
Hook
it.
goes wide, doesn't get it. Is going to take the walk of shame out of there. Big Twig. Let's see how he can use this advantage in lane. Urgot against Jax. How do you like that early game?
I imagine it's reasonably Urgot favored as he's able to poke out the Jax early, get that range advantage used on him, and probably disengage if Jax gets the counter-strike up. But once Jax is able to get 6, I think it gets a little bit more even. I don't really know the matchup too well because Jax isn't a super common pick these days. But yeah, early on it can be very Urgot favored due to this kind of thing happening when you don't have counter-strike.
He is going to get flipped. He's not going to be able to do too much of there. Bumping out another sad emoji. That's a common... It's a common... What's it called? It looks like it's a common trend coming out from Team HBlock. Whenever something doesn't go their way, they just throw a little sad emoji. Gets a good flip onto him.
Oh, he missed
He's going to be able to dodge the stun. The counter-strike, not going to be able to get any sort of answer.
I think if Bob Jones
sad
hit the
beat.
skill shot there on the stun target, he actually would have killed him.
Some damage onto Leona won't be enough to cause too much happening. Does get a quarter of her health. The Zenith
Nice
Blade
buffer.
does land onto Photograph. Photograph is able to buffer out of that. It's going to start with a little bit of a CS advantage as well. You like to see it if you're rooting for Photograph carrying this one out.
Yeah, this lane's really hard to play for Silverleon, and I expect him to continue getting a CS lead in this lane. On the other hand, in the mid lane, there's a little bit of a CS lead for Ryze. Ryze actually does do well in this matchup, but unfortunately he got engaged on, so this trade
Ooh.
goes a little
He's
hard.
going to bump the Ignite. Both flashes coming out. Big Twig is going to go down to the Ignite. Big Twig giving up his advantage. Rise. Rising up to the occasion. Giving himself a nice kill solo.
Yeah, something I kind of just wanted to turn to right before that happened, actually, is that Ryze should actually be able to win early in this lane just because of the range advantage and his ability to poke down the Sylas without being engaged on with stuff like the W and the E spread because Sylas has to walk up to the wave. So the harass he can get down is pretty substantial. It can just dissuade an all-in by keeping him pretty low and preventing him from being able to take the all-in. But in that situation, he actually went for it, but he was kind of in the wave, tanking minion aggro, tanked way too many Qs from the Ryze, I'm pretty sure. He tanked like 2 in there. Wasn't able to dodge either of them, and then took the Ignite, and he having the TP didn't have the combat power of that. Unfortunately, just straight up loses, and I think it's really unfortunate. He's throwing a pretty massive lead they had in the mid lane, and well, he's able to stabilize probably once he's able to get to 6 and keep scaling, maybe look for some roam plays. He has to actually do something in this game on maybe one of the side lanes to be relevant now.
Woodyer is going to be in the top lane. Does get flipped up. Blows out the flash. Bob Joan in a little bit of trouble. Doesn't have the flash to get out of this one. Udyr going to flash. And it's going to be Jax following up the flash as well. That's 3 flashes going down. And Bob Joan will be taking the death for that one.
Yeah, good chain CC from the top lane and jungle there on HBK's side. They're able to use the Counter-Strike effectively in addition to the Udyr stun to keep her out in place the whole time. And now he's TPing back onto this.
Oh, no. Is taking a little bit of damage from the tower.
Wait, he's taking turret aggro.
Jax and Udyr are going to be taken low. That was a little bit sus coming out from there. Almost was the repeat kill. Almost gave up a double kill for that too, but very well executed to get out of that and stop the bleeding.
Yeah, we see the spell shield come off the Sivir to block the Blitzcrank hook. That's really, again, why they picked this here, I think. And, you know, it's pretty effective so far, but unfortunately, it doesn't really change much about the dynamic of the lane fundamentally, in that Photograph will always have control of these waves and will always be able to outrange the Sivir on these short trades. And so I don't think the Sivir's going to be able to do much other than just farm under turret and hope to scale, but she doesn't outscale hard enough for it to really be worthwhile.
And it is going to be, oh, he popped the spell shield again. It is going to be Lethality Sivir. Sylas getting a little bit of damage onto H-Block. H-Block not really accepting, and he's going to do some damage back to him. Actually sort of went out on that trade. But yeah, so I feel like we're confirmed to have a Lethality Sivir in this game. Thoughts?
I don't know why people keep doing this. It's just the worst version of Lethality Varus. I mean, like,
yeah, I agree.
It's just bad. I don't understand it, and it keeps happening.
Ooh, Antunes with a good hook onto H-Block. H-Block, the self-titled team, is going to be going down. Leona responding to this by engaging onto Photograph. Photograph W's out
Yeah,
into
Tristana
safety.
is so safe. Like, you can see, they see that the support's mid lanes. They know they're in a 2v1 and try to go for an engage to pick off Photograph because they have a numbers advantage, but he's just literally able to press W no matter what they do, and they can actually never engage on him because he can always buffer that on the Zenith Blade. So the Tristana's just going to be able to scale, continuing this lane. He doesn't even get pressured out by that. Actually forces them to back because the wave just crashed. And so they actually have to take this back time. They're going to fall behind on items to Photograph once he crashes the wave, once the support comes back to the lane. And now Photograph's going to be able to crash this wave before they get back to the lane because he has the explosive shot damage on the wave to actually push it in super, super quickly. He's going to get a reset now, hopefully, or even rotate to Dragon. And their bot lane doesn't really get anything out of that.
That is very true, and it's going to be back to neutral, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get some recalls out. Tristana's first back with 50 CS and an assist. She should probably pick up a lot here.
This is
she
probably
pick up
Noon
the
Quiver,
boots,
right? Yep.
Picks up the Noon Quiver. Doesn't really pick up anything else, just W's to lane, and there she goes. No flashes up in this top lane.
Nice dodge out from Bob Joan.
Here. Ooh, Bob Joan getting out of that one safe and sound. Udyr's going to go back and do his home and probably get this crap for himself.
Yeah, and we can see that Udyr is actually behind on CS to Lilia right now, which is kind of surprising to see. Although Lilia's clear is pretty good, Udyr should be clearing faster.
Udyr is in a bit of a pickle here. No flash trying to get out of this one. Does get stunned up by the...
Ooh, he has sleep. Nice one.
He has 6. Nice sleep coming out from Lilia, waiting for the damage to be procced, not waking him up. Big Twig.
They can keep going.
Make some big plays here. H-Block.
They have Realm Warp. They can go.
It takes the Realm Warp, is going to go TP behind him, going to take this plant onto him potentially, isn't going to be enough to actually...
He's dead.
Oh, almost goes down, does take the Ignite. Soximus going to be taken low, but isn't going to go down to the last tick of Ignite. Very well played from Team Udyr to pick up 2 free kills.
Yeah, a little bit of just the runaround there. It's Rice trying to get out, but they usually use the Blast Plant to turn back on him, even though he tried to turn the other way after they ran around the other side of the wall. And that's a huge turn of events for the mid lane after getting that kill early on and then getting solo killed again, being turned around on him. Being up to 4-1 with this Darksteel sacking on Sylas is really, really scary. He's in a position now where if he takes trades like that when he took at the beginning of the enemy getting him killed, he's just going to win now. Like, he'll just kill the Rise even with Ignite, and Ignite's down now.
And that's even after Rise earned himself a solo kill. That's gotta hurt for him.
Yeah, I mean, just not respecting jungle, I guess, and unfortunately, it's going to cost him
Ooh,
because
here we
you can see the
demonstrate.
trades Big Twig can afford to take now that he's so far ahead.
It's going right back into neutral. Rise down almost 20 CS into the bot lane. We have Tristana up 20 CS. And in jungle on top, things are a little more even. 10 CS diff on the top lane, not too bad. Pro running around does show onto the bot side into the chickens, is going to hit up Lilia a little bit, but walk out of that one. H block getting some damage on Silas. Silas not really caring too much, does take a root, is going to take a lot more damage. Oh, almost going down, not respecting H block at
Yeah, Big
all.
Twig probably needs to play a bit more respectful. I'm surprised he went for Lucidity boots instead of Merc Treads in this game, but I guess he just wanted to get boots on a reset timing that he had, and he ended up going for it, so he isn't going to be quite as tanky for these Rise Qs, and he does need to be careful about getting comboed by him, but once he's actually gotten this back off with all that gold, he should be quite a bit stronger and actually get a chance to just 1v1 the Rise if he walks up again like that. That was a really odd wave position for him, where he couldn't really fight into the wave, so he couldn't engage, so he's had to take the poke, and that's really rough for him, but hopefully he's able to recover now, especially with this lead he has. And I think especially around top side, Bob Jones doing a great job playing weak side. He's been getting ganked by Udyr pretty frequently, and Soxmus actually has a CS lead in the jungle due to the amount of ganking that Udyr's been doing towards the top side, and he's only died once. So I think that's really good for them, and this Udyr team is honestly probably going to be able to outscale them, even though the Rise will scale really nicely, Silver will scale really nicely. Just the way their team comp functions, I think it becomes really difficult to play the game for HBK, even though their champions individually don't get outscaled.
It is going to be the stalemate into the top lane as Blitzcrank showed
This
up.
wave is
didn't
just
get
getting
the
denied
hook.
because he can't walk up with Blitzcrank there.
That's so unfortunate for him. Does have an angle on here. Let's see if he goes for it. Does the flash hook? Is going to go very wide. Is 4v2 in the top lane right now.
They could look on the Udyr here, but I don't know if Soxmus is going to stay. He looks like he's going to walk back, and maybe they're just going to not commit to this. Return to lanes. Try to maybe collapse on the mid lane as Rise try to push out the way, but Rise is going to play safe here too, so nothing should really happen here. We're going to go back to a lull state.
Yep, and Lilia did pick up that Rift Herald.
Maybe you can steal red. Oh!
Ooh, doesn't get the stun onto Udyr. Actually nicks the red buff a little bit. Udyr is going to smite that away.
Oh,
Big
okay,
Twig's
H-block's
actually going to
here,
be
though.
in trouble here. Flash stun onto Big Twig. Big Twig forced to flash over the red wall. Jax is there as well. Is going to E back over the other wall. Is going to go down to Rise. Going to get a shutdown here. Into the bot lane and to the top lane. We have a TP coming out.
Oh, canceled
from
though by
Jax.
the ult.
Canceled by the ultimate from Bob Jones. Bob Jones going to take that down. 1-for-1 so far in the top lane. Actually, two for one. No, 1-for-1. And in the bot lane, we do pick up the
Photograph can kill him.
Photograph going for a kill here. Photograph now 1-for-1 in the bot lane. Photograph looking to get some support from Big Twig. Solar Flare being stolen.
He's going to give it over to Photograph.
Lands it perfectly.
He's handing it
Photograph.
off.
He's trying his best, and he's going to
doesn't hand
actually
it
take it for himself. He griefs him. Oh my
Alright, well,
god,
it doesn't end
what
up being too big of a
kind
deal.
events.
Both of those carries are going to be massive with kills, and I don't think it matters too much which one of them takes it, even though it is nice to accelerate the Tristana, who hasn't gotten quite as large of a lead. That Realm Warp's going to get canceled too. Oh my god, that's tragic.
Very well played. Big Twig going to pick up another kill for himself. H-Block self-titled team in shambles right now. It's going to be a 4-for-2 overall trade.
And Rift Herald's going to drop for solo plates on Photograph bot.
Ooh. And it is going to be Pro, no flash. Going to have to face the Tristana himself. Don't think he's going to have to worry too much about that as he does back off. Antunes is running into the jungle.
This could just be Dragon
hook.
transitioning into bot turret right here. As soon as they take this Dragon, if they rotate, I don't think they can respond more quickly enough. But looks like Udyr might go for the Smite Steal.
Could definitely do it. Lilia is going to
Will not
secure
get
it.
it.
Pro is in a little bit of danger. They
got
are
to
both going to
sleep.
go to sleep here. Lilia's not in a good spot, though. Is actually going to be able to flash out with the movement speed enough to get her out of that sticky situation. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Big Twig's picking another fight. Is going to go down to the Silas here. Let's see how this one went. Bob Jones went down very easily to Hyatt here. Hyatt's going to get another Q on him. Hyatt's going to turn around onto Big Twig. Big Twig using the W, not going to get enough HP. Going to take a stun just for doing that. Is going to eat out, but it's not enough because he does get the Q off before he's out of range. That's going to be Jax with a double kill.
Hyatt getting this Fed's a little scary. He does get the shutdown here. That's a lot of gold going over, and Fed Jax is pretty scary. Even for a comp like Udyr's, they have to lock him down or else they're just going to get completely 1v9 because of the split pushing Jax. They can't even respond to him without probably 3 members at this point. And I think the lane's unplayable for Bob Jones. I'm not even sure what he's going to do. He's just under tower and farm.
Definitely looking pretty good for Team H Block as they have found themselves a win condition. Alternatively, Team Udi are picking up the second dragon of the game. That is going to be an Ocean Soul as
Oh, you
H
can't get hit
Block
by
is going to get
those.
hooked. He is going to take a lot of damage from the Tristana E or E,
He's
and it's
really close to
not going to
dying.
be
He might die to
enough to not.
minions. Oh,
Oh,
super
minions!
close.
Minions are not going to take him down. H Block running us, taking a run for our money right there.
Yeah,
Almost
both
going
these mid
down.
laners, and they're just both trying to take turns running as close to death as they can. It looks like Big Twig's gotten a little closer a few times, but H Block's giving him a run for his money with that play.
Definitely, as it looks like Photograph gonna go for some bot damage or
Ooh, that
mid
damage off the
rather.
bomb on Sivir is like half her HP.
Super worth if you ask me.
Yeah,
It is
and
gonna
Photograph's
be
actually much stronger than his scoreline might suggest. You can see he's the only one with a bounty on Udyr's side, and that's because he's getting all these plates, and he's also managed to pick up all this farm. He has 118 CS right now, compared to the 85 CS of the Sivir. And on top of that, he's also gotten most of the plates bot lane, a couple of plates mid just now, and he's getting so fed. You can't see it, but it's going to come online in some of these team fights if he's able to get some shots off. And I fully expect him to be able to fully, like, one combo the Sivir or even the Rise, and maybe even the Udyr if he's able to get a bomb reset.
absolutely. It's gonna be Bob Jones taking the plant back over into the top lane, stop this Jax from doing too much damage to the tower because good lord, if he's left alone, you already know what's gonna
Big
happen.
Twig's playing with fire here. He might just get caught out trying to do this blue buff. They know he's dear.
That's literally on par for him this entire game. Come on
He
now.
is very
He is
dead.
in a very big pickle, though, as he is going to go down with the swiftness. Steals the solar flare, gets the stun on rise, but it's not going to be enough. He really wanted that blue. He's not going to get it.
Yeah, this is like solo Q Silas play right here. And he gets really fed and like dies a couple times randomly. Gets more fed, then dies again trying to invade 1v4. And I mean, you know, he'll still scale, so it's not the end of the world, but I would have liked him to see, you know, retain this advantage a little bit more rather than just throwing it all away on repeat.
Mm. Definitely have a question for the Silas pick, though. I feel like everyone has made this joke for the last year and a half it's existed. Silas as a split pusher. Good lord, does that champion do no damage to minions?
Yeah, I mean, they had to nerf his Q, or not his Q, his passive change damage on minions several times, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they nerfed it strictly on minions. They nerfed the actual AoE damage multiple times, and I think they might have done a separate nerf that was just nerfing the minions damage, but his wave clear these days is pretty bad, even with, you know, a few items, and until he's really able to get pretty far into the game, he's not going to be able to one-shot the wave with a full combo, so it is pretty rough, but you are really playing for the team fight with this kind of comp that Udyr is drafted, and I think it doesn't matter if you're able to get picks like this one.
Pro getting the stun on the Protograph, but it's not going to be enough. Is going to take the
That is
Lily
the
asleep.
but it
As
doesn't
both
do
of them
anything.
going to sleep, isn't going to do too much. Not going to respond to that one. Is going to drop back into a little bit of a neutral, as it is going to force the disengage.
Oh,
and
nice
recall.
flash hook.
Good hook from the Blitzcrank. Going to force the flash out of Sivir. Is going to go
Photograph's
down.
caught.
Photograph. Photograph is going to go down for it, though. 1-for-1 in the mid lane. And Toons has hook up again. Is he going to be able to engage on this one? Good flash from Bob Jones to get in there, but isn't going to land the stun on anyone. So it was all for naught. Is going to get a response flash after that one. So it is a trade for flashes here. Not too bad for, I would say, H block in that situation. I feel like Tristana trading a shutdown is not worth.
Yeah, it's 1-for-1, but Tristana is way more valuable than Sivir in the situation, so it's definitely worth for H-Block to take that trade. And I think Udyr really thought they could get more, but unfortunately they were right under the turret there, and they couldn't really commit to that sleep, so ultimately, it's a little win for H-Block. We'll see if they can use that to get this dragon here as it comes up in about 30 seconds. They will get the vision set up due to Udyr being pushed off there, but they definitely can recommit to this fight if Udyr want to fight it, and we'll see if they actually win it. I think that Udyr should be favored to win the team fight if they take it, though.
Lily ult should be up by that time.
Not if
Pro
you
is going
fight
to get the
2v3.
stun onto Lilia. Isn't going to be too good in this situation. We don't have Tristana quite dark, or actually no, we do off to the side. Position to the Tristana. Antunes playing that really
Wait,
well.
they greeted
Tristana
so
is
hard.
able to get a very good start to this fight, but she is going to ultimately go down at the end.
This
Urgot
is
comes
so
to
greedy
the
from
alone.
H-Block. What are they doing?
Oh my god, what started out to be really good for H-Block turned out to be quite a disaster. Losing the Sivir and the Udyr just for Tristana and Blitzcrank is going to be enough, I would say, to be able to start this
Yeah,
dragon.
no, that's going to be Dragon in mid T1. That's really bad. And this could be another kill. They take the sleep
Ooh.
here.
Is going to flash
Nice
on
flash
her.
to dodge that.
Oh, so good from Soximus. Soximus going to take that one to the bank as Jax is going to jump on him. Looks like Lilia will go down here, but Bob Jones, he might be in a better situation. Does force the Jax out. No return kill there. I don't think this is smart to go for Dragon anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip, but I think they can still start it if they really want to. It looks like H-Block's still in base, and Udyr is going to have to walk all the way back out. Unfortunately, they aren't going to be able to do it in time, so they're going to have to wait, probably take another fight for this, but they at least get to clear on vision on that, and it should be a pretty good advantage going into the next team fight, which will happen pretty soon. So we'll see if they get to catch anyone here.
Oh, but just as you said that, Big Twig, it does have
Nice
to bring the
Everfrost.
Everfrost. Does get the root onto Jax to stop the engage.
They're going to try to rush this, but Udyr is here except for Soximus. They won't be able to smite steal, but they can commit to the fight.
They can indeed. Sivir is in a bit of
That's
a...
a nice Blitzcrank silence, actually.
Good silence from the Blitzcrank is going to be enough to... Oh my god. Almost getting stolen. No smite. Is going to be Sivir securing it for their own team. So...
Photograph is playing really aggro here for being literally alone, except for Antunes a little bit behind him.
They should just disengage here if they got the dragon for free. I wouldn't say for free, but good secure from the Sivir is going to be enough to get that and get out. No trading, no fighting needed. Definitely a win in H-Block's favor. H-Block himself in a bit of a pickle is going to get stunned up from the Urgot, flashing away from the Urgot. Oh, not flash, but definitely is going to get Urgot ulted out of that
Leona
one.
could go down here. She gets hit by E. Yeah, she's dead.
Soximus is going to pick up another kill, and that's going to be 2-4-0, and they're going to look to put some vision around on the top side of the jungle. No Baron quite yet for another minute. Definitely not looking to do it either. Photograph pushing up the bot lane, Sivir responding to it. Decent fights going on here. I would say this is more organized than I've seen all day.
Yeah, HBK is being a little over-aggressive after feeling like they're a little bit in a winning position, I think, and they're taking some fights they shouldn't be taking, but ultimately these fights haven't really back and forth, and I think that either team could really come out on top in a lot of these situations, but unfortunately Udyr's team composition makes it really difficult. It's because Tristana can get so much damage out in the late game.
Everfrost going a little wide. Rift Herald is going to get the charge off, though. Does save her.
It's a good silence.
Absolutely is a hook going on to Pro. Pro in the middle of everyone. A TP coming out from Urgot is going to be enough to kill this. Is going to be enough to push this top lane, and we have ourselves a deciding factor to see if Team Udyr can build an advantage. Finally.
I mean, Udyr is very far ahead. If you actually look at the gold, they're up 5.5k right now, and they've had a pretty considerable advantage the entire game. It's just come down to these skirmishes where they end up throwing away a couple kills randomly, and it gives a chance for H-Block to come back into the game. But Udyr should be in a pretty commanding position from here.
Antunes was looking for that hook there. Oh, just went a little bit wide, just a little bit to the left, and it would have hit. But it's going to be enough to get the top tier 1 and to back off with everyone's life.
Yeah, and Baron is up, so they're going to have complete control of this Baron pit vision as well as vision in the enemy topside jungle, which gives them a huge advantage going into this soul point fight. They'll be able to see where the enemy's trying to trade for Baron, and that should be pretty good for them going into this 2 minute and 43 seconds until the dragon coming up. Any wards they put down in terms of standard sort of warding trinket wards are going to expire, but they can actually get control wards up there right now. At the very least, see when they sweep the vision, which gives them an opportunity to go down and get vision on bot side. And so if they trade vision on bot side or on top side for bot side vision coming up to the dragon, they should be advantaged in the dragon fight. And hopefully they can actually make that work into a team fight win around this third dragon, I guess fourth dragon, but third for them, and giving them the chance to force onto soul point. Because if they have soul point, they force the team fight at soul, and I think they're heavily
it's going to be a sleep going on to both of them, forcing Udyr's flash. It's going to be Leona that's going to be going down here for free. Not one contest for that. Not one thought in the world.
So thankfully Dragon is not up, and she's going to be back up in time for that, so it shouldn't be the end of the world for HBK, but it does mean even more vision setup for Udyr in the bot side jungle, and Udyr's vision control in this game should be able to get to a point where HBK can't walk in, as we're kind of already seeing.
I do want to bring your attention, if something doesn't happen here, I do want to bring your attention to the difference in items for the 80 carries in this game.
Yeah, we talked about Tristana getting really far ahead off those plates in the early CS lead, and we can see it coming to fruition now with the items she managed to buy. On 2 items, the Kraken Slayer PD, and to Sivir's Manamune. Lethality Sivir is one of those champions that, like Lethality Varus, you do kind of want to have a lead from laning phase to be able to be relevant. And though Varus can scale a little bit more effectively, Sivir has a hard time.
They're starting Baron here, and this is actually going to go down what looks to be for free. I don't think Udyr is going to be able to get in here in time.
Yeah, and this is a byproduct of that vision monopoly they had on top side. Right? They have no idea that they're doing this, and they can't even contest it.
Lilia does not have the ulti still. As
Prolipal's dead if he does this. I don't know what he's doing. He's very dead.
Photograph is going to get the buffer. It's going to be Big Twig off to the side, killing Udyr. Udyr is going to be going down. It's going to be Lilia being responded for that.
Mid-inhib going down for Udyr.
Wash. That is going to be an absolute wash for Team Udyr. Team Udyr taking a lot of damage here in this fight is going to kill all 5 members, one after another, after another, after another, and that is going to be a quadra kill coming out for the Silas in that fight. Let's break this
Yeah.
down.
Silas giveth and Silas taketh. I mean, we can see they have actually no vision in the entire top side because of that earlier fight. They have to walk in totally blind. He's running in with a sweeper. They don't even know this is being done. They have some sense that it's happening, that they're running in, but he doesn't even know what Baron HP is at. He doesn't know if he should flash in. They can't do anything. And then they commit to this fight, again, totally blind. They don't really know what's going on. Big Two's able to come around and pick up this kill. But Proloop will kind of just ran it down in the beginning of the fight to even be in that position in the first place. And from there, it's complete wash, as they don't even have numbers. And Leona ult return from Silas hits almost everyone. I mean, we're just seeing, like, Silas Leona ult. It's pretty scary. And Silas the champion is pretty scary. Even though he wasn't able to hold that lead completely, it still doesn't matter. He just completely runs over the team fight.
Blitzcrank was just units away from his team from actually going down to that Risey.
I mean, even if Blitzcrank dies there, it really makes no
Yeah.
difference. That's the thing, is that like, because of the way that this team comp functions, Blitzcrank only needs to be able to get that initial engage, initial pick onto them, get his silence down, and that's kind of it. He can die from there as long as they have time for the Silas to actually get an ult down, for time to photograph to free fire. And again, this should be the mid-inhib tower at the very least, maybe even the mid-inhib going down, and they're going to have a really hard time contesting it.
OOD are not going to be able to go down to anyone. No flash, no access into the fight isn't going to be enough. Is going to save the inhib. Inhib not going to go down just yet. Proloop taking a quarter of health.
But this is the dragon going down, we have to remember, because they managed to pressure the mid lane with this Baron buff. Baron transitions into the third dragon here, which gives them soul point on Ocean Soul. And so now they can force the Ocean Soul team fight with an overwhelming advantage in vision and in items. And it should be just their game to take from here if HBK is forced to walk into them.
And now with that, this game is now on a timer.
I mean, the game was already on a timer. The timer seems to ticked up right now. It's pretty much over, honestly, unless HBK is able to make some miracle team fight at Ocean Soul. But they're so far behind. You can look at the gold; it's down almost 10k, and that's not to mention the fact that so much of that is concentrated on these carries.
Good hook on Antoon is going to force Jax to pop the counter strike and get out of that one. He isn't going to go down. Isn't too much damage behind that, but does get a quick scare out for everyone.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're able to kill the Jax, but it doesn't really matter. They just push him off, get this bot tower. They still have Baron buff, and it's still pushing even after that dragon capture. And they're trying to collapse in the mid lane, but stopwatch is really good.
Isn't going to be too much. Photograph going to get stunned up, stunned
Leona again. Leona ult back on them.
Just Leona things happening right now as he Silas does not have the solar flare. It is a visual bug. Lilia is going to be going and doing so much damage with her passive Leandry's combo, taking down the Udyr and the Rise and the Leona.
Yeah, Silas with the stolen Leona ult once again able to catch everyone, and even though he gets collapsed on and he is honestly at a numbers disadvantage the entire fight, it doesn't matter. As soon as they get the turnaround with the stolen Leona ult, it just kills everyone. That AP scaling is ridiculous.
And that's going to be 2 inhibs for Team Udyr. They're not going to be able to end this game quite yet. Photograph did go down. That was a good stun lockout from HBK, but it wasn't enough to salvage any form of a team fight. They did go down by Lilia very easily, actually. That's almost scary how much damage Lilia did in that fight.
Yeah, and she's got Dark Harvest, went Leandry's, so she will actually be able to pump out a decent amount of damage. We'll have to see what happens on the bot side, too, because at Photograph now, if you see his build, he has Kraken Slayer PDIE. This is looking really, really scary. He can pretty much delete anyone he wants at this point. I think he could probably even 1v1 the Jax if he manages to get the buffer on his W out of the counter strike.
That was a guess, wasn't it? Lilia wasn't in any vision. That was a very, very good cue from Silver to stop the recall.
It might not matter.
A very bad situation. It is going to be Bob Joan in the middle of everyone now. Photograph jumping over the
Photograph's getting a free fire.
Oh my god. Oh, it's not going to be enough. He is going to get 1 kill, but he's not going to be able to get anything else. It's going to be 3 for 1. Team Udyr kind of ran it a little bit.
Yeah, it was a really good Leona ult to make sure Photograph wasn't able to just kill them all there, because if he doesn't hit that, Photograph actually has to get hit by the stun portion.
It's going to be no root coming out, but does get the slow.
Yeah,
Big Twig pumps out enough damage to get a kill here. Does miss the E. Isn't going to be enough to get the kill. Udyr is going to make it out alive. Trick 2G sees his life once again.
Yeah, so to go back to the last fight really quick, it's actually really important Leona hits that ult in that particular way, because Leona ult only stuns in the very center. At the outside, it's just this extreme slow, which is still a lot of CC in a lot of situations, but in that particular situation, he had to nail Photograph, because if he doesn't stun him, it doesn't matter if he can't move. He would get 3 more auto attacks, they're all dead. So it's really, really clutch play coming out, and hopefully they can make a few more plays like that to come back into this game, because that's what they really need. They need to be able to catch out Photograph or Big Twig and really blow them up 100-0, stun lock them, because if they're allowed to even get a few autos off, with the regen coming out from the Silas and just the raw damage from the Tristana, they're going to get deleted.
I believe with the crit cloak being added to Tristana's build, she is at 75% crit chance.
That
A
is
lot.
correct, and she also has the Infinity Edge online at 60% from third item spike, so she's already doing that massively increased critical strike damage.
Ulti
Also,
coming
Pro
out from
Lupul's just
Lilia.
dead.
Pro Lupul is in a bit of a bit
Oh,
of a
I guess they
sticky
didn't have.
situation.
Oh,
Does get the blitz hook. It was able to flash out, but Blitzcrank flashing right after him. Photograph going to pick up that kill for himself. A little bit of redemption for the earlier trade that he has done. Is going to be threatening the base. Good hook onto
little bit of
Blitzcrank, threading
random
through the
Blitzcrank
minion.
ult.
Nice hook from him. Gonna have Photograph take down another kill. Leona's gonna go down as well. Big Twig gonna do some damage into the backline. Urgot tanking up a storm.
Nice buster
Gonna be
shot.
Jax. Jackson alone. He's gonna have to run out of this one, and that's going to be Team Udyr taking this game by storm. As close as it was earlier in the game, those later fights really decided where this fight would go. Tristana being ahead pretty much the entire game said it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tristan to Sivir just is so hard for the Sivir to do anything, and she's got such a lead from laning phase, she'll snowball the game out of control on that side. In addition to the Silas being extremely fed, even though he threw his late a couple times, it didn't really matter. And HBK never could really play to their win condition. The Jax was never able to side lane it safely. The Ryze was never able to really do anything with this team except for a couple Realm Morphs where they were able to catch people out, but ultimately was never able to make any big enough plays to really impact the game in a larger scale. And Udyr's comp just out-team fought them straight up.
Indeed, as Tristana once again leading the charge in the damage. I feel like aside from one game, I think the 80 carries have struck the leaderboard by a first. I think the only game it wasn't was the Annie game.
Yeah, I mean, also that game went so short with the Senna in it that it's not surprising to see a Senna doing less damage, but I'm sure
Very
if that
fair
game went a
point.
little bit later, it could have scaled up, so not too
Oh,
crazy.
absolutely. Jax did keep up a little bit, wasn't able to do any sort of split pushing in that game whatsoever. The pressure was on, and Team Udyr was bringing it and bringing it heavy. Definitely a very, very good conclusion to the day. I was happy with that game to end off the games for the Mythic League. Stay tuned for an interview with your winners, and then we'll see you for the lounge. Don't go anywhere, don't click that, don't touch that browser, rather. We'll see you real soon.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here for the final interview of the day. I am joined by Big Twig from the victorious Team Udyr. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Talk to me about the draft that you guys put together. I am a huge fan of Silas as a champion, and literally as we speak, my banner status on League is Lilia One Trick from back during Spirit Blossom. So guess that says enough there. Talk to me about the draft that you guys put together and what you're up against.
Yeah, so in terms of the draft, we haven't really been playing too much together recently, and I've been really playing at all. So we went with mostly comfort picks just to try to like get us positions to where each one of us can succeed individually, and I think that kind of came to play in some like the better fights that we had, and then I think some of our downfalls of not playing were also clearly shown today. And in terms of their draft, we weren't too worried about it. We knew the Jax could get out of hand, and like that was pretty much our biggest focus for the game.
Now, the Silas in this game was a bit of a terror, and it started literally from the start. Talk to me a little bit about getting this early kill, setting you up for coming back to lane at level 1 with Ring and Seal. How was it to be this monster Silas in this game?
Yeah, man. Like you said, Silas is probably my favorite champion at the moment. You have so much mobility and you have so much agency in the game. And I mean, I got first blood and I got the D ring, and then I think I got solo kill at level 3 by Ignite Rise, so that was pretty cool. But it wasn't until like the early mid game started happening, I think, where I started picking up all my kills and just was able to get rolling. Felt like we had a lot of really broken fights to the point where I was able to just like fly around and just pick up kills that like Photograph and Soximus were leaving on the table.
Yeah, the Ignite is exceptionally good against a champion like Silas with your W and Conquered. But I did like that you were basically on cooldown stealing the space laser from Leona with that sick AP scaling. So I like that. What you like to see.
That's a super awesome ult to have on him. And then I think I was dealing with a Rise ult. Sivir ult's pretty good, and Udyr ult, I think I tried picking it up once and I had no idea what I was doing with it. So.
Yeah, we saw that top lane. I mean, it was. I think the top lane one, it was just came down to you just missed your E on that one. But it did. Avoiding Udyr ult when that's in the game as Silas is a smart idea typically.
Definitely. Yeah. I wanted to give it a go and see how it played, but.
Yeah, you didn't get to like the god tier ultimates in this game, like the Ali ult, where like the Hecarim ult when that was in meta.
The Gnar is pretty awesome too. Oh
yeah, that is pretty sick. Great. So this was it was kind of close in this game up until it wasn't. In the end, you guys come out with the win though. So we're getting ready to get into playoffs. How are you folks feeling as you get ready for this playoff matchups?
I think we're feeling pretty good. Soximus, Bob, Joan, and myself have been playing together for like years, and Antunes and Photograph are 2 new players that we've like added to our like circle of gaming friends, and it's been really fun getting to play with those guys more and more. And even though we don't practice a ton, I feel like as we've seen over the season, like our chemistry has just completely come together, and I think we're in a really powerful spot, and I think we're really ready for playoffs.
This certainly is a statement that people should be on the lookout for as we get into playoffs. So congrats on this win, Big Twig. Thanks so much for joining us for this interview. Do you have any final thoughts before we go away?
No, I just thanks to my team. They're pretty awesome, and thanks to Chris for putting this all together.
Shouts out to the commish as always. Big Twig, thanks so much for joining us. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're still sticking around for our FOF Lounge. Don't go anywhere.
Oh.